I remember at the wrap party, Corey Stoll was like, this was different than anything I've ever worked on before. And we were like, work with theater kids. We're a mess.
Welcome to WatchMojo's Poppin the Culture, your weekly entertainment touch points. And me, well, I'm your host with the most, Mojo, of course. That's right, it's me, Mr. Hollywood, Matt Demers. I got such a great show coming your way. I'm going to be speaking with Agam Darshi. She's the writer, the director, the star of the movie Donkeyhead. Don't want to miss that. Plus, I'll be speaking with Paloma Garcia-Lee from Steven Spielberg's West Side Story. All that and so much more. But first, we're jumping into it. Here's your Hollywood headlines. All right, as we do each and every show, we kick things off with a look at some of the more notable headlines over there in Hollywood. And to help me break it all down, well, he's back. He's the host of WatchMojo's Inner Sleeve. Hey, Cassius, how's it going?
Matt Demers, what's going on, man?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm so excited to chat with you. Listen, at the time that we're taping this, the Super Bowl was just a few days away. I got to get your thoughts on the halftime show because I know that, well, you're all about the music. What'd you think of those guys?
Man, I thought it was really cool. You know what? I mean, pretty eclectic mix when you think about it. Like Mary J. Blige, we got, of course, the old school hip hop, Eminem, Dre, and then, of course, some of the new stuff with Kendrick. I mean, I thought it was really, really cool. And, you know, maybe not as grand as some of the other shows, Matt. Like when you think of, you know, I think it was Pink or Katy Perry flying through the air and stuff like that. But still, in my opinion, a good representation of hip hop.
I wasn't expecting Eminem to do like Lady Gaga and fall from the ceiling. So
Right.
it
Maybe not in his repertoire.
No, I thought it was great. I love the music. I'm going to stick with Super Bowl for a second because we did get a lot of trailer drops. That's one of the things that us movie guys look forward to at the Super Bowl is that when we get all these interesting looks at new movies. I want your thoughts on a few. The big one for me that I'm so excited for, and we've already seen some teasers and there's some stuff out there, but we got a new one, a new look at Doctor Strange in the multiverse of madness. You saw Spider-Man No Way Home, correct?
I did, yeah, which I actually enjoyed quite a bit. Like usually I'm one of those, I know the people in the comments are going to hate it. I'm like a Tobey Maguire purist. I love all that stuff. But I decided
You're not alone.
There you go. Okay. So see, I thought that was an unpopular opinion because I figured people love Tom Holland.
I'm Andrew Garfield all the way. But no, You're right. People do love Tom Holland.
This is true. But no, I figured I'd check it out. And yeah, I thought it was all around really, really good. And it actually got me a little more interested in the whole Doctor Strange story, which I guess is convenient because now we're going to be getting more.
That's what I was leaning to because he played a major part in that Spider-Man movie. And I feel like people that watched No Way Home were like, oh, yeah, now I got to watch Doctor Strange. Multiverse of Madness. We already got a taste of what the multiverse can bring. The trailer, and we're going to show clips of it here, but the trailer really is kind of strange. One of the interesting things that people are picking out is not what we saw, but what we heard. And it sounds to be like Professor X from the original X-Men movies.
Little Easter egg.
Yeah. So what do you think of that? X-Men entering the MCU? Because remember right now, X-Men's not officially part of the MCU because they were part of the Fox deal. And so now they could officially merge. That would be pretty epic.
I think that would be amazing. Like, I mean, we already got some new Matrix stuff. I think that era of movies is so golden and probably one of the best we've had. So it's like, I think X-Men would be definitely a logical next step. I mean, you think about it, Hugh Jackman, even in just the Wolverine stuff, they pretty much haven't missed. You know, they've been pretty successful.
Yeah, no, they really haven't. And especially if they're going to bring back some of the older characters, maybe, I don't know what they're going to do. Marvel always surprises me. I'm excited.
But they got a lot up their sleeve these days because it seems like they're just like, you know what, let's just put it on shuffle mode and let's just see what happens with all these characters.
Well, they also did a new Moon Knight trailer. That's a show coming to Disney Plus. We saw that. Are you a Lord of the Rings fan? I know we've had Phoebe from WatchMojo on the show.
She's a big fan?
To put it lightly, she's a huge fan of Lord of the Rings. So I wonder what she thinks. We got a Lord of the Rings the show, The Rings of Power. It's coming to Amazon. It's like the most expensive show ever made ever. We got our first look. I'm sure she's got lots to say about it. As someone myself that kind of dabbled in the Lord of the Rings movies, I watched them all, but not a super fan. It got me excited. I'm intrigued in this world. I love me some good fantasy. What says you?
I think it's going to be great. You know, I was excited to see this. My experience with Lord of the Rings started off a little rocky, and I think it sort of messed me up going forward. When I was a kid, I think I was like 7 or 8. I went on a sleepover, and my friend decided to show me the Gollum transformation scene in the middle of the night. Definitely one of the most scarring nights of my life.
Okay,
And I think maybe
I'll do
that's
it.
why I didn't watch them as an adult. But you know what? I think it's obviously an incredible series. I enjoyed the Hobbit stuff. I read through some of the books when I was young. So I think this is great. And Amazon, if Amazon's dumping money into something, it's probably going to be high quality. So I have faith for this.
And they're dumping a lot, like we're talking dump trucks full of money on this show.
Yeah.
So I'm expecting it to look spectacular. All right, I'll just go through a few others in case you missed it. You can look these up online. Sonic the Hedgehog 2. We got a new look at that. It looks pretty good.
I'm pumped. I love Sonic.
Yeah. Oh,
I think he's one of the cool. Him and Kirby are my favorite little characters from that. I think they're Sega, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Where's the Kirby movie? Come on.
Dude, come on. We need that.
Let's get on that. The Lost City, we saw that. Channing Tatum, Sandra Bullock. But this one got me really intrigued. And I'll end with this one. It's called Nope. Nope.
Yes.
From Jordan Peele.
Yes.
Man, this looks. I mean, do I know what the movie's about? Did the trailer tell us anything? No. Nope. But what it did show me got me excited. I think it has to do with aliens. And people think that Nope stands for not of planet Earth. That's just a rumor. But yeah, I love his horror takes. He did Get Out, obviously. He did Us, which was creepy. I mean, yeah, a little. The story was a little over the top, but I love his take. I love what he puts on screen. Have you seen Jordan Peele's horror?
I haven't seen his serious work, no, but I mean, I think I definitely think he's, a talented guy from what I understand. And I also love a movie, whether it's a trailer or even a TV show that makes you think. I don't necessarily want it all laid out for me, right? You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. Cassius, you hit it. I hate when you, and I actually tend to do this. If I'm deciding whether or not to watch a movie and I'm like, oh, let's watch the trailer, I tend to turn off the trailer like a little past the halfway point, because now I'm like, oh, well, now I'm seeing exactly how it's going to end up. So, give me the tease, show me the good stuff. But I feel like now they're going to show us everything. And now you just kind of expect it watching the movie, like, oh, when does that guy show up? Right.
Sometimes it gets really bad because, I mean, sometimes I'm shocked as to how much they show in trailers. And I even heard that about the latest Jackass. Some people felt like they showed way too much leading up to it, and they knew the stunts,
Yeah, no, you're right. I did see Jackass, and I did highly enjoy Jackass.
I still got to see it, but no, I got big love for Jackass, and I'm really excited for that.
I hope they do another one. I mean, I don't think Knoxville's able, like physically able.
Yeah, mentally, physically
able to do another one, but it's fun. It's fun stuff. If you're into that stuff, I put my seal of approval. All right. Speaking of seal of approval, the Oscars gave their seal of approval to some new hosts this year. I'm excited because, Cassius, we didn't have a host the past couple of years. I'm an award show guy. I love the Oscars. Obviously, I'm a movie critic. But I without a host, I feel like the show's lacking. I love that opening monologue, and I like when there's a comedian that can kind of keep things moving and keep things funny, and it just adds highlights to the show, makes it more entertaining. Now, this year, we got not one, not two, but 3 female hosts. I think it's going to be good because, listen, we got Wanda Sykes, who's just a naturally funny person. I love her delivery. Regina Hall, this is interesting.
Oh, okay.
She's I think she's going to, I've never seen her in a hosting role, but I do like what she does in acting. And then you've got Amy Schumer. I happen to be a big Amy Schumer fan. I know a lot of people were, and now they're not.
Yeah, it seems that way. I don't know what happened with that, but personally, I never jumped off. I think she's very funny. I don't get the issue.
No, and I think that's going to be great. I think that mix of 3. I mean, it's always tricky when you have more than one host.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you're going to divide the time and it can get kind of clunky. But I think this will be fun. I'm glad to see the host back. So that's some big news coming out of there in Hollywood. Are you an award show guy at all? I'm assuming you might watch things like the Grammys or music-related ones.
I watch some of it. I like to watch it just to sort of stay in the loop because, there's certain artists that I like. But yeah, definitely more music-related. But no, I always think it's cool to see who wins. And I always like to see people who are, at the top of their field, whatever that may be, get sort of the flowers from their peers in that regard.
No, you're right. And I know a lot of some people in the comments might be like, I don't care about the Oscars. I don't care. Why? But like, why? I guess is it because you didn't see the movies? I think that might be
That's probably argument. A big part of it.
That's the argument I hear the most. It's like, well, why should I watch this? I don't care. And I think this year the big movie that maybe most people have seen is Dune. That
Yes.
seems to be the blockbuster one, which I
Huge.
loved. Yeah. Did you see Dune?
I haven't seen it yet. I'm so bad with movies.
Cassius,
I'm
I'm
the
going to
worst.
send you. No, here's what's going to happen. At the end of this podcast, I'm going to send you like all the movies. You're going to get a delivery in the mail of like movies you have to watch. Be like,
we're bringing back Netflix. We're sending DVDs.
That's right. But the old school.
The old Netflix.
You just return them in the mailbox. You're going to get Dune. You're going to Get Out. You're going to get all the good ones. All the good ones.
Legend.
All right. And speaking of good ones, I tasked you with giving me and our viewers and listeners some good music that we should be checking out. Because I know you're the music guy and you're kind of plugged in. Honestly, I mean, I'll throw on the radio. There's some tunes that I'll like. But what do you think we should definitely be checking out these days?
Now, I think it can sort of be split into a couple different categories. So the first thing that comes to mind, if you're a fan of like acoustic singer-songwriter, even rock type of stuff, Sierra Farrell is a great new artist. She's like a singer-songwriter. And all my singer-songwriter friends, like this is the new thing. You know, she's not a major artist yet, but she's definitely, you know, climbing the ladder. And I would definitely say for my hip hop people out there, of course, we all know like Kanye has new stuff out. Yeah, of course, we know that.
I love me some hip hop. I do.
Definitely. Pusha T. I think definitely watch out for Pusha T's record because he dropped the single. Did you hear the single?
I've heard a little bit. I love me some Pusha T.
Yeah, 100%. Taking it always back to like the old school, like late 80s, early 90s. But definitely for my new hip hop fans, number one record I suggest is the album by Snot that just came out. I think it's called Ethereal. A very interesting rapper from Florida, and it features A$AP Rocky and Juicy J. Very, very unique. He sort of is a mix of straightforward hard rap and then sort of like acoustic singing stuff. So really
amazing.
Cool. Yeah.
Yo, that's definitely something I'm going to check out. You say his name is Snot?
Snot with a $sign.
Of course.
All right.
Gotta put the $sign in there.
You gotta have it.
You gotta have that. Or it used to be all the rappers were little something, right?
Exactly. LIL and
LIL.
To actually write little. Maybe we'll start that to make it somewhat diverse instead of LIL. You know, a little change.
I interviewed Lil Ray Howery. He's an actor, and I guess when I introduced him, I think I may have said I tried to say Lil, but maybe I said little. And he gave me like a 5-minute thing about how it's Lil. He was joking, obviously he's a comedian, but it was hilarious how
it's not 50 Cent, it's 50 Cent. I don't want to say it again. Like
yeah, I love that. So now I'm like Lil, not little. Awesome stuff. All right, Cassius, I need you to do me a favor. I need you to sit right there. Don't go anywhere because me and you,
let's do it.
It's time. We got to go. Be on the list. All right, Cassius, here's what we're going to do. We're going to dig deep in the vast archives of WatchMojo, pluck out one of their old top 10 lists. They've got thousands upon thousands of them. But what we're going to do is we're going to go through that list. And this is really all me and you. We're going to give our opinions. We're going to go beyond that list. Did they get it right? Did they get it wrong? Our memories of some of these things. Today's a good one, and I picked it just for you. It's going to combine my love and your love, my love of movies and your love of music, because it's the top 10 music
It couldn't be more fitting. This is perfect.
Biopics, the good old biopic, the movie about musicians. And I glanced at the list. I'm assuming I've seen most of these movies because I do love me a good music biopic. So I'm interested on your take. Now, there's a caveat here. They are not, so if you're looking for something like 8 Mile, not on the list. WatchMojo says it's not ones that are inspired loosely by true stories. So 8 Mile, not 100% the Eminem biopic.
It's more of a movie, right? It's not necessarily like, but I don't know. That's tough though, Matt, because it kind of is a biopic.
Yeah, but it's not like 100. Yeah, I think, and I don't think any of these are really 100%, but yeah. So don't get mad at us when you don't see 8 Mile on the list. Because I do like Eminem.
Obviously, I mean, listen, seems like Eminem has come up on all of our Poppin the Cultures, whether it's through me and sort of in spirit when he invaded my body for a couple months. But I guess it just goes to show how relevant he is to music and film.
And still to this day. Okay, number 10 on our biopic list. This is an Oscar nominee. It was Bohemian Rhapsody just in 2018. This being, of course, Queen Obviously, the focus being on Freddie Mercury. I mean, I enjoyed it. I mean, there was some behind the scenes drama. So for those that followed, with the director leaving halfway through, that kind of thing.
Right.
Whatever. The music, what I saw on screen, it worked really great. What were your thoughts on Bohemian Rhapsody?
I honestly thought it was phenomenal. I mean, I probably need another pass at it because we went in and sat like in the front row of the theater for it because like we wanted to see it that bad. Should have got there earlier. I know, Matt. And by the way, like, do you think how early do you have to get there when a movie is that big?
You mean you sat like in the very front?
It's like we're looking at like a skyscraper and stuff. My neck was broken.
Oh yeah.
But probably should have got there at least an hour early. But no, I mean, I thought, listen, at least it gave me a close up.
I don't think you're even allowed. Well, it depends on the theater. I used to work at a theater, and we didn't let people in until because by the time the other show ended, and by the time you cleaned, it's always like only like a half an hour. I think that's a max. But I think now you're good because most theaters you can reserve the specific seat, which I like. Right?
Oh, this is true. I guess it's like a concert now where you sort of click your admission, so that works too. No,
so
I mean,
if you don't buy your tickets in advance, then go early. And
this is true. Maybe I'm dating myself now, showing that I haven't been to a movie in so damn long that we couldn't pick our tickets. But no, I thought it was great, and I thought especially, I mean, the casting was just ridiculous.
I wanted to bring that up. Rami Malek, he's the one that walked away with so much awards love that year. I thought he was fantastic as Freddie Mercury. Like, it was amazing.
And I can't remember the guy who played Brian May's name, but phenomenal as well.
Yeah, they're great. Yeah, so I really dug that one. And I remember watching it in theaters and people were singing along, and it was like a really, I mean, it's Queen. How can you not?
Yeah.
Awesome stuff. Okay, number 9, I do remember this when I was very, very young. It's been a while, but I do remember a lot of people liking La Bamba, 1987. Took a bit of a tragic end, right? This is the singer that died in that, well, he had a fear of flying and he ended up dying in a plane crash. Ricky Valens. Did you see La Bamba?
This one I haven't seen, but it's definitely one I've heard about a lot, and definitely like from my parents and people sort of more in that era. Definitely, they highly recommend it. So this is one I'm gonna have to take as homework.
Richie Valens. I think I said Ricky. I'm gonna correct myself. Richie, and it's Lou Diamond Phillips who played the role. I do remember that, and this was a big deal for that actor. La Bamba, 1987. Okay. Putting that back on my rediscovery list. Love and Mercy, 2014. I feel like this one may have gone a little under the radar. This is John Cusack starring in here. I don't know. Did you see this one?
I didn't see the fictional.
Sorry, I should mention it's the Beach Boys founders.
Yeah,
Brian Wilson.
I actually got the chance to see the Beach Boys HBO doc, which I thought was really, really cool. So now that I've seen that, I think I'm ready for this one.
Yeah. I'm a sucker too for. I mean, these are the reenacted ones with actors, but I do love me a good music documentary. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I remember this one being a little under the radar, but I think it's an interesting story. I'm always intrigued too. It's not in this, but one of the people from the Beach Boys was slightly part of the Manson. Do you ever hear this?
Oh, well, I know that he was mad that somebody, I think they sold his song, or there was a connection, right?
There's a connection, and that always intrigues me, that like Beach Boys and Marilyn Manson are connected, because it's like,
it's so weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
But he was trying to claw his way into the music business. I guess it just never worked.
He really was. Yeah. Oh, that was his whole deal. Insane stuff. Okay. Coal Miner's Daughter in 1980. Okay, another one that I didn't see. I say I'm the movie guy. I've seen all these movies.
There's a lot of movies.
Yeah, I didn't see this one. Who is it? Sissy Spacek is here. Who is she playing?
I mean, De Palma, obviously an incredible director. I mean, it might be hard for. I mean, him mixed with a Stephen King sort of story. I think it's probably a really, probably doesn't disappoint.
Yeah. WatchMojo. I mean, it's what WatchMojo has as number 7, beat out Bohemian Rhapsody. So it's obviously something.
Thinking, so it's got to be good.
The folks at WatchMojo saying it packs an emotional punch. So the story is really interesting, and they gave it a nice cinematic touch. So okay, there we go. All right, this one I have seen, so I can chime in on number 6. What's Love Got to Do with It? 1993, Tina Turner. There's a lot. I mean, speaking of documentary, she had one recently as well, I think also with HBO. But this was a big deal when this came out. And yeah, I
Did they
mean,
go there with it? Like, did they take it
oh,
to the Ike? And yeah.
oh yeah. Oh, you
Okay.
saw everything with yeah, and and it really was by the end. She's a survivor. Tina was a true survivor, and I thought this movie did a really wonderful job of encapsulating her life from the beginnings. Like obviously they had a lot of success, but it was kind of dark with the whole thing with
Yeah.
Ike Turner, who kind of held her down with an iron fist, like literally. And then at the end, for her to come out on top and really be celebrated with this is around the time of What's Love Got to Do with It was a big deal. I remember she was on Oprah,
Mm.
the song itself. So yeah, wonderful stuff. But
I
Tina's
think
a
it's
legend.
Oh my gosh, she's so and again, it's funny, like another artist I've been looking at some of the real life, old school footage and trying to learn about. I think of just, sort of off my radar and, growing up, I'm sure my parents would have never put this on, which is probably a good call. So yeah, that's going to be one of the ones I got to go out in the world and find myself. So, but I'm looking forward to seeing this now.
Oh, you have to see this. Yeah, I really loved it. I really loved it. Angela Bassett, we should mention, is phenomenal in it. Okay, number 5. I'd be shocked if you didn't see the one that landed at number 5, halfway point on this list, Straight Outta Compton,
I know this one. Definitely
2015.
2015. So and I guess a big Oscar snub too.
You're right. You're right. I think maybe one of the actors got. No, actually, I don't think any of the actors got in. But I remember, yeah, there was a bit of a uproar. NWA, of course. Did they go as far as they could with this movie, or did they kind of
I think
give
they
it
went
that?
as far as they could, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it was from the Easy E stuff to them getting arrested for doing F the police. And I mean, it was also another fun fact about this movie is that Ice Cube's son did play him, of course, but
Yes.
he didn't just walk into the role.
No.
Apparently, there was a long audition process, right?
I love that. I love that. Yeah. No,
Which is
I wanted
pretty
to bring that
cool.
up too. That reminds me too of there was a Sopranos movie that came out. Obviously, James Gandolfini is no longer with us, and his son, who's now older, played
Yeah.
his younger Gandolfini's younger Tony Soprano, and I thought he did a remarkable job too. And similar to this, he really had to work for that role. So,
Yeah, that's what I
but
love about it, and you can't just hand it down no matter who it is. But I think this film definitely did a good job of sort of encapsulating the whole story from the people who were just around to the people who were actually directly in it. I thought it did a good job.
no, I think so too, and I'm glad it's at least at the halfway point. We'll see what's better than this, and I love the music obviously in there as well. Number 4, 1986, Sid and Nancy. I've seen this maybe
Ooh,
one time. Yeah, I mean, you want to talk about a toxic relationship?
Gary Oldman,
Um,
right?
yeah, I mean, this is just the stuff of legend. Sid
I
and
gotta
Nancy.
see this. Yeah, this is definitely. I'm ready for this one now. Now that I've learned about them, again, like if you're listening to these people when you're sort of growing up, maybe there's something wrong, but definitely something I want to dig into now.
Yeah, Gary Oldman. You're right, and I wanted to find the female
Chloe
Chloe
Webb.
Chloe Webb. There you go. So yeah, no, they were great. They're probably amazing. Gary Oldman, by the way, as an actor, is just phenomenal. The
He's
guy
terrifyingly good.
and the versatility. You look at him something like this, and then he was in that movie Mank, which was like this black and white, old timey stuff. You just see the range in Gary Oldman as
True
an actor.
Romance to Prisoner of Azkaban. I mean, the
Oh,
guy is ridiculous.
throwing your Batmans and yeah,
Yeah.
this
Oh
man's
my
done it
gosh.
all. But Sid and Nancy is one of his top highlights for sure. Okay, we're getting close. We're getting close, Cassius. I'm excited to see what tops
Almost there.
the top pick. But we're going to land at number 3 with "Walk the Line," of course.
Oh,
Little Johnny Cash. This
wow.
was a big deal for Joaquin Phoenix and Reese Witherspoon. They really cemented themselves as just kind of amazing performers. Did you see this one? Because if you haven't, I highly recommend it, even if you're not a Johnny Cash fan.
I've
It
seen a
just
lot of it actually. I think it was on one of those movie channels one day, and
oh,
I also saw the fact that Joaquin Phoenix really didn't want to do this. Apparently, did you hear that?
I didn't. He's
Yeah,
an interest.
apparently he said he didn't want to do it because he doesn't. He said he thought he looked nothing like Johnny Cash. He said he thought he sounded nothing like him, and he just didn't want to do it.
Yeah, I'm glad he did
I'm glad
because
he did it too, and it looks like he's kind of glad he did because that's the thing. I think it just goes to show you got to have that self confidence. I mean, if a casting agent is saying you're good for the job, chances are they're probably right.
yeah, but he's an interesting actor as well.
Yeah,
Joaquin
he's an
Phoenix.
interesting guy. I mean, I don't know if anybody has that guy figured out, and I think he's very good at,
Nope.
maybe letting people think they have for a moment, but
Nope. And I think that's kind of a thread that we're seeing in these lists with me and you chatting is the importance of the actor playing these people, right?
oh my gosh,
Um,
yes.
that's such a huge part because these people are bigger than life. I mean, Johnny Cash, you're going to have someone walk into that role. It better be good. And
It's
I think,
no choice.
yeah, they're doing an Elvis
Oh
movie, a
wow.
biopic coming up. Yeah, Tom Hanks is producing. He's also playing the Colonel. Not sure who's playing Elvis.
I'm shocked they haven't done that yet.
Me too. Yeah, along the
It would make
lines
a lot
of
of sense.
yeah, along the lines of the Johnny Cash. So I'm a big Elvis guy. So I'm
Yeah.
interested to see the actor because I think a lot of eyes will be on this guy to pull off the king. All right, we're almost there. We're at number 2 with 2007's I'm Not There.
Ooh.
Um, yeah, what are we looking at? Oh, Bob Dylan. Bob Dylan, of course. I remember this
This
guy.
is with all the different actors, like
Yes, I
male,
do remember this. Yeah,
female.
yeah, yeah. That was a
Wow.
big deal too. They had what was it? Kate Blanchett
Hmm.
played one of the iterations. Yeah, this was a big deal because they had him throughout the years. Who else was in there? Christian Bale. Um, Heath Ledger was one of them, wasn't he? Yes, he was.
Yeah,
So
Richard
yeah,
Gere.
yeah.
Incredible.
Bob Dylan. I mean, if you're going to put him on film, you better do something special.
It's crazy that that guy is still active, by the way. I think he just has tour dates out now to like the end of
What?
2023. Yeah, it's called the Never Ending Tour, I think. I'm like, it's insane that Bob Dylan is still
It's an
so
appropriate
called. Yeah, like it's
title.
insane. Yeah, the appropriate title, exactly. But no, I mean, I think, listen, if anybody deserves a biopic with a lot of care, I think it's him. I mean, one of the greatest ever. I don't need to sit here and explain it. And I mean, I think we hear his influence in a lot more music than we realize. Like, even when I listen to some of the greats of today, like Frank Ocean, guys like that, I'm still hearing pieces of Bob Dylan. So, the legend.
Yeah, and another WatchMojo is highlighting how his history again is a little mysterious. Uh,
Right.
so so there you go. So that was an interesting way to do his biopic, and I'm not going to complain about that landing at number 2 because I do remember seeing it and being like, wow, especially with
Yeah.
those performances. Buddy Holly Story is an honorable mention, 1978. Get On Up in 2014. Do you remember that one too?
Yes.
Selena. Oh, that didn't even make the top. That's an honorable mention. That's Jennifer Lopez in
Okay. I
Selena,
missed that one.
1997. Yeah, she I remember she did great. That was one of a big deals for
I
Selena.
like her acting. I'm not a big fan of her music, but definitely she's good on screen.
J-Lo, yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. She is. She put out a new rom-com and people were celebrating because she's just got charisma, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, J-Lo.
Pleasant person to sort of hear and see. Absolutely.
Although, listen, if you want to check out a true J-Lo acting gem, you're gonna
Okay.
want to check out a movie called Hustlers.
Hustlers. Okay. I've heard of it.
Wow, it's gonna blow you away.
I
She
like
plays
Monster in Law. That's my guilty pleasure movie.
okay. Well, Hustlers, Monster in Law. I would throw Hustlers a little bit above that. No,
Yeah,
it's
maybe
great.
a little bit.
All right, number 1. Here we go. I was intrigued the whole time to see what would land at this top spot, and we're going to get our answer with Ray
Of
Charles,
course.
2004. Well, I mean, this was a big deal at that year's award ceremonies for acting and all the big ones, Golden Globes, Oscars. That's for Jamie Foxx. Jamie Foxx, who
Supremely talented, man.
blew my mind with that
Yeah,
performance.
it's incredible to see what he can do. I mean, it's interesting because he can do like a very simple role, like just sort of being funny and basically playing himself, or he can just go into this other state. And I think that's what we saw in this movie. I mean, uncanny the resemblance.
Yeah, and the way he sounds, the way he moves. Jamie
Yeah,
Foxx, I think, is one of the most underrated actors that we have going today. Every time I
I
see him in
agree.
a movie, he really puts in the work, and I mean, this just proves it. And this tops off what we've been talking about as far as the actors being the key component for the biopic. So there you go. I think WatchMojo did a good job at it. I wouldn't say they got any wrong. Are you looking forward to any biopics? Maybe ones in the works, or maybe the ones that you want to see? I know my big one was Elvis. That one is in the works. What about you?
Oh
Anybody that
yeah,
you think?
that'll be really good. We've just heard rumblings about Michael Jackson getting an official theater release.
Oh,
So that would be the one I really want to see. And again, Michael and Elvis, kind of eyebrow raising that they haven't done it yet, but maybe it'll be better today with today's technology.
of course. Yeah. And who would play Michael
That's the thing.
Jackson.
Who the heck can play? I mean, I know that they've had some TV versions that the guy played him good. And
Yeah.
it's tough. Maybe they'll just go to Vegas and just sort of comb the streets for impersonators and find the best one.
Lots of impersonators. Yeah, that'll be interesting. You're right. It is shocking that we haven't had a Michael Jackson acting biopic. So there you go. Hey, Cassius, it's always a pleasure to have you here on the show.
Matt, thanks so much, man. It's been a pleasure.
All right, everybody. It is now time to check out our first of 2 Mojo Chats of the week. All right, my guest today is a fantastic actress, and we can see her in the new West Side Story. And, well, she's no stranger to the stage or screen. We're going to talk with Paloma Garcia-Lee. Hello, Paloma.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Well, thanks for chatting. I want to start with that movie that I just talked about, West Side Story. This is a big deal. I saw it, and by the way, absolutely loved it. This, of course, being Steven Spielberg. It's a Spielberg joint. First off, how is that working with the goat?
I mean, yeah, it's kind of crazy because it's the best and worst thing ever. And people get confused when I say that, but it's the best thing ever because it's him, and working with him was beyond, when some people say don't meet your heroes or don't meet, these very influential people because they might not, stand up to the expectations that you have for them or anything like that. He exceeds them. He's the kindest, most generous, loveliest human being ever, and made the experience that for all of us every day. But the worst thing is so this is my first film. So now the bar is set so high of what my expectations are stepping into this world. And not that I don't expect everyone to be Steven Spielberg, of course, but this also was his passion project that he's wanted to make for, most of his career and most of his life. So when I say he made every day on set for us, the most special day any of us have ever had in our lives, we all kind of walked away from this, pretty fucked up, if I'm being honest, of when you get, you realize your dream and it's there in front of you and you're just like, oh, wow. So this is possible.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Whoa. That kind of messes you up.
Mind blowing, I'm sure, for you and other people on that cast, and what a great cast it was. Before we get into kind of the players and that experience, talk to us about who you are playing in particular and what you brought to that particular role.
So I am Graziella in the film, and we're dealing with a new script adaptation by Tony Kushner, which is awesome. So it's we try and stay away from calling it a remake of the 61 film, and we try and pull back to we're doing a reimagining of the 57 stage play. And so with that, Graziella can sometimes be put to the bullet point of Riff's girlfriend or these sorts of components in the film. But, we're really seeing an expansion of her character in this telling of it. Yeah. So yes, I am Riff's girlfriend. I'm also leader of the Jet Girl gang. I'm a Jet lady, and we see kind of a different development with her through this, through our telling of this story, which is really cool. So I get to dance. I get to try and save the day. I get to do all sorts of things in this film.
Did you get to take on any wardrobe from the set, or is that all under lock and key?
I wish. I remember one day I had 2 pairs. Well, many times I was like, can I take this home with me? Can I please? But they were like, you can't have anything because these costumes are going to be in a museum. And you see our costumes are now on display all around the world. And you're like, fine, you can keep it, fine. But something very cool that Steven did do, they got us cast jackets. Which is kind of a very traditional thing to happen on Broadway, where you kind of get a show jacket from something, but he carried that forward and got us these incredible bomber jackets with our character name on the front, leather sleeves, the whole 9 yards. And I mean, he's so a bomber jacket is a Spielberg staple for him to wear. And so we have gang jackets with jets and sharks on the back, which is a very cool keepsake for us.
That is very cool. Listen, the hype for this movie is still going. Obviously, we're heading into a award season. A lot of people have their fingers crossed for this one. It's a movie that I really enjoyed, and I think it looks great. People always want to know what happened behind the scenes, what the experience was like, making the film. I mean, we're in kind of interesting times, obviously, where that filmmaking experience is different. What was the experience on this particular film?
We are definitely in crazy times now, but luckily, I mean, it's crazy to think about. The world was a different place when we made the film. We shot this summer 2019, so a while back.
Right on the cusp.
Right on the cusp. So we truly kind of dropped. I think we wrapped like end of September, early October 2019. So we just had a few months clearance, and we knew already we were going to have to wait a year at that point for the film to come out. And then at the year mark, tSteven pushed another year because he didn't want to release it to streaming. And so we did this quite a while ago. So I will say the on-set experience was maskless, pandemicless, and pretty joyous.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a big cast. A lot of people involved. I mean, you're no stranger to that when we're talking stage plays. What was that dynamic? Did you guys hang out, or was it more chaos on set?
Both. It was, we were inseparable. I mean, truly, like, these people became family. And again, I think that's the influence of coming from the theater into a film, because a few of the people who, like Corey Stoll and even Ansel and different people who had primarily done films, they were like, wow, I've never worked on a production like this. Like, we were together all the time. Like, we were those gangs, we were those people, we all leaned into who those characters were. We were at summer camp. Like, when I tell you every waking second, especially like the Jet Boys, they would rent houses upstate together every weekend. They were a gang. They were a full-fledged gang in New York City that entire summer. And we were just like, yeah. And the production really actually encouraged that in us. Like, if we ever wanted to go out, we could just tell them, being like, hey, the group wants to go dancing tonight, or we want to go have fun. And they would really facilitate us bonding. And so I think so many times people are like, how is this chemistry coming across on the screen? And we're like, well, not to say there's very little acting going on, but like, we just lived that life. And then we're able to bring that onto set with us, which is really cool. But that's what life in the theater is. You know, you're with those people all the time. We operate that way. And so what I'm starting to learn now, of course, on TV and film, it's a little different. Like, people show up to work, they go to their trailers. Sometimes a cast gets a bond together. But I mean, we made everyone just participate. I remember at the wrap party, Corey Stoll was like, this was different than anything I've ever worked on before. And we were like, work with theater kids. We're a mess.
I can imagine. And by the way, if you still talk to Ansel Elgort, tell him that he needs to do a sequel to Baby Driver. My favorite.
I'll tell him.
Yeah,
I'll text him. I'll tell him.
Tell him Baby Driver sequel. It needs to happen. Let's talk about musical film, okay? Because this was the past year or so. We've had some really great ones. In the Heights is one of my favorites that came out. I don't know, what's the status of musical film? Every time one comes out and everyone looks at the box office numbers, is like, oh, is this the end of musical film? Or like, oh, musical films can still survive. I don't know. What, as someone that's done one, what do you think?
You know, I think it's really interesting because, exactly like you said, we're seeing some great things, right? Tick, tick, boom. And we're also seeing Hollywood stars really interested in this. We're also seeing on TV, we're seeing Schmigadoon. You know, we saw this whole slew all the way back. I mean, of course, from before the prom, there were musical films before that, but the past few years of this kind of onslaught of them. And first off, I think it's an incredible introduction. You'll never catch me say a bad word about it. I think, you know, it's interesting bringing these stage plays forward, because, like, what about the people who can't go to New York and see a Broadway show, who also can't afford that, you know, $150 ticket? So first off, we're making musical theater and these stories more accessible to the masses. And second off, you know, it's people, you know, I remember some people being like, well, I don't really like West Side Story. I don't really like musical theater. It's so cheesy. And I'm like, well, we're also bringing in this whole new audience now, where you're going to see a Spielberg film is what you're going to see. Yeah. You're not going to see a cheesy musical. You're going to go see yes, absolutely, material that's coming from the stage, but with a completely new book, completely new director. And so that's what we're kind of getting, especially in the Heights. And we're also bringing forward directors, you know, Lynn coming from Broadway, now doing Tick, Tick, Boom and these different things. So people are getting an introduction to, I think, a different side of musical theater, but we're still in that introduction phase, right? Like, we've not seen any of these be massive box office smashes. And that's because we are, first off, in a pandemic. And second off, you know, it's still taking people a bit of convincing to show up. And then once they do, like, how many tweets I've read of people being like, I had no interest in seeing West Side Story. Now I've seen it 4 times in the theaters and brought everyone I know. And I'm like, see, that's the work. So that's the work all of us need to do. And I dare, those are fighting words coming out of me this morning. I dare more directors like Spielberg to take the risk, pick up some musical, you know, pick up anything from the stage and expand the audience with it, you know, because they can really put their voice in. I mean, I can't wait for the Scorsese musicals. I can't wait for a Tarantino. Like, bring it.
Listen, no, I agree with everything you said, because ironically, I used to be like, well, I don't really like musical film except for, and I would list like 10, except for La La Land I like, except for Chicago I like, except for Moulin Rouge I like. And now it's like, oh, maybe I do like this genre, because it's you're right, there's so many great ones. And
We just
So many,
expect it to be like jazz hands. We expect like
yeah.
cheese, but then you get this depth. I mean, and prior to the pandemic, I was in Moulin Rouge on Broadway. Obviously, then we're seeing, a film adapted to the stage, and Baz was very involved with that process
Oh
with
wow.
us, which is cool. So I've kind of been on two sides of this now, where it's like developing a movie to a musical, and now obviously bringing a musical to, the big screen. And it's just very cool to see these directors so invested in these new mediums, because we can do stuff in film. First off, we can do stuff on stage that we can't do in film, and vice versa. So like, what a cool way to see it. And also, like, when everyone's like, I don't want to go see this, I'm like, I promise you, you're watching a lot more trash than some of this. And also like and also you're getting introduced to like triple threat talents, right now, when you're seeing Ariana DeBose is one of my super close friends, and like, you're getting introduced to powerhouse talents. And these people
Yeah.
aren't just going to be sticking with musicals. Like, these are the next stars of Hollywood. Rachel, Ariana, all these people coming out. So I don't know, get on the train. Musicals they're kind of cool. I don't know.
There-
I think so.
I think so. I think there's some really, really great stuff. And speaking of which, I'm just looking at some of the stage productions that you've been on. We mentioned Moulin Rouge, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Phantom of the Opera. What is your, for those musical theater fans out there, what is your favorite of the bunch?
Ooh, it would have to be a tie between Moulin Rouge and Natasha Pierre and the Great Comet of 1812. Natasha Pierre, Josh Groban was starring in that, and that was a wild production. It was immersive. It was like, we were all over the theater, but it was actually a short snippet of War and Peace. Crazy, that was turned into a musical. So talk about another version of like kind of what Hamilton's doing about bringing a historical context forward. And that show, but it was also to this like kind of like techno score. This sounds insane. Look up any preview of it. It was so cool. But that was amazing. And Moulin Rouge was very special. Being a part of a huge commercial hit like that
Mhm.
is rare on Broadway. And so now, they're going to be having 6 companies all around the world. They're already in Australia, London. They're starting a Germany company, Japan. And so just being a part of creating something that's going to be all over the world. That doesn't, that happens. That's every day in film and TV, where you're getting something that has that
Yeah,
reach, but musical theater rarely does. So that was a very cool experience.
that is very cool. Okay, before we go, I want to talk about what Paloma does when you have free time, if you have free time, because I did read something that you were, correct me if I'm wrong, an archery enthusiast. Is this a thing? Am I making this
I
up?
am. Nope, you're not making any of it up. I love hobbies. I love hobbies. I just truly, learning new skills is a passion of mine. I love doing archery, and I'm currently taking private archery lessons every week. So that's something I really love. I'm also an equestrian. So I'm, an adult amateur, but I have a horse and I ride multiple mornings a week, and I'm working on getting my, equitation back, and I'm a hunter jumper and hoping to start showing next year. So you can either catch me at the barn in the mornings or out on the archery range. And, I'm looking to pick up the mandolin is something that's big on the list for this next year. And also beginner ice skater. So
Wow.
really just
You
love
you
filling my time up.
you really do. But with the archery and the equestrian, I can see. I don't know if you're secretly auditioning for something in Marvel superhero stuff, but I mean, you could fit right in
That's
with all those
literally,
guys.
literally the goal, is to do that. I was like, once I can combine the two, I'm pretty sure my horse would
Yeah.
freak out if I had my bow and arrows with me when I was riding him, but we'll just like ease that in.
Amazing. Well, listen, Paloma, I can't thank you enough for taking the time to chat with me today. So much fun. And hey, if you were living under a rock and you haven't seen West Side Story, what are you waiting for? Trust us, you will absolutely love it. Thanks again, Paloma.
Thank you for having me.
All right, the movie is called Donkeyhead. If you're in the United States, you can catch it on Netflix. Elsewhere, well, check your local listings. You're not going to want to miss it. And guess who I've got? I've got the director, I got the producer, I got the writer, the star. Hey, maybe she even made cupcakes for the cast and crew. I don't know. Agam Darshi, how are you?
I'm doing really well. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Let's talk Donkeyhead. I mentioned all the roles that you have, and there's a lot. I can imagine this is a very personal film for you.
Yeah, it was pretty personal. I mean, it sat with me for probably a good, it's kind of embarrassing to say, but like 10 years before it made it to the screen. So I had a lot of time to just let it brew, and I took lots of pieces of my own life, and I'm a bit of a voyeur, and so I stole things from my friends' lives and put it in the film.
So, okay, I kind of got that watching the film and seeing the bits and pieces that I did see, was that it felt very personal. It felt very authentic. So what has been the reaction to people in your lives? Were they like, is that supposed to be me?
No, I was a bit sneaky about it. So
Okay.
I mean, I think the biggest thing is that I lived with my parents while my dad was going through chemo. So that became like a big sort of like grounding backbone to Donkeyhead. And then all the other pieces, there's little pieces of myself, my mom, my dad, my friends and their families and stuff, but it's woven in pretty well. So it's not like exact things that happened.
Exactly. So the story itself, I mean, it has to do with the father falling ill. The siblings come back to help out. Obviously, your character's been there since the beginning. So you on the surface, you think this is more of a drama, but there's also lots of levity. It's a nice blend of humor. How would you describe it?
Exactly that. I call it a dramedy. It's kind of funny actually. There's the script itself there was a lot more funny bits. And then when we came to editing it, it was very long, and so there was a lot that we had to cut out. A lot, and what ended up being cut out was even more funny bits. So it became probably a lot more heartfelt and a lot more serious in the end than perhaps what it was meant to be. But I also think that the process of editing is just sort of like chiseling away until you get to the core of what a film is meant to be. And so, yeah, it's a dramedy the way I see it.
Will people need to have some tissues in case is it a waterworks?
Yeah.
The tears will flow?
I mean, I've been told a few times that there were some tears when people have watched this film. I've seen it so many times that I'm like, there's no tears here.
You've lived with it for 10 years. I wrote down some of the cast members because there's some pretty good actors and actresses here. Kim Coates, who, by the way, and maybe you can clear this up, he scares the bejesus out of me because I've seen him on Sons of Anarchy. He also plays like a mob boss in this other show. Is he a nice guy?
He's as terrifying in real life as you imagine him to be. No, he's so lovely. He's just it was really great actually. He had a very tight schedule and he wanted to do the film, and so we had to basically shoot him in and out in like 3 days. And he had a couple of days where he could like spend some time with me and we could get to know each other and like rehearse it a little bit. But it was so nice because his way of working, like he has such a high standard and a high degree of work ethic. And so it was such a perfect way to start off this journey because we literally started up here. Like he really elevated everything. And then we just kept it going throughout. He's super hardworking, very, very passionate, and funny. He's incredibly funny.
Okay.
Which most people don't realize.
You don't realize, no, based on the role. That's the key of a good actor, versatility, right? Sandy Sadu, Stephen Lobo,
yeah,
Marvin
Ishmael, and Ian Medevji. He's a Toronto boy.
Oh, there you go. What a great cast of people. So that must have been fun. Were you part of that casting process?
Oh yeah, like I was very, very involved, and like it was basically these are the people that I wanted from the get-go. Tsteven actually is somebody that I have known for a long time and knew for a fact that he had to be a part of this. And then Sandy Sidhu as well. I've known her for a long time. And again, like I'm just like, she would make the perfect Sandy. It was Hussein and Marvin. Hussein also plays my brother, and he was somebody that was new to me. And so it's always like, it's always nerve-wracking to invite new people into your world because that can make or break an experience, but he totally elevated it. He was so funny and really created an environment that felt very safe and fun for so much of the cast and crew.
Amazing. I did take a peek at your filmography, and you have a project coming up, but you probably can't say much, but maybe you can tease for me because I'm very familiar with a comic book called DMZ. DMZ. This is coming to HBO. I didn't even know this. And here I am looking obviously at what you've got coming on the go. And I'm like, what? She's going to be in DMZ?
So you know the comic book from before?
I did know the comic book from before. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Post-apocalyptic, there's this kind of, America is at war, DMZ, demilitarized zone, right?
Right.
Manhattan is not what we know it as today. I mean, is this what it is, taken from the graphic novel?
That's exactly it. Yeah, it was really interesting because we started shooting it right before COVID, and then right through, actually right at the very beginning of COVID. And the world was starting to feel very ominous and scary. And here we are making a show that feels very ominous and scary. So it was a bit of a life imitating art. But yeah, it's really, really good. I'm very excited for people to see this. Just incredible actors and like very timely, like this is it's a weird world that we're living in. And so there's a lot to talk about in terms of what that comic book is about.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Anything post-apocalyptic is now somewhat timely. So, so yeah, folks, when we don't have a release date yet, right? I was trying to see if HBO.
Not yet. No, not that I can share.
Oh, okay.
But some great actors. I mean, I don't think it's a secret. Like Rosario Dawson's in it. She leads it. It's incredible.
No, when that comes out, I'm putting it right on my calendar and giving it a big circle. I want to talk about you for a second, because you had an interesting upbringing. You were born in England, is that correct?
That's right.
And then you came to Canada?
That's right. When I was young, like 3 or 4, I ended up moving to Montreal. Mm-hmm.
When did you know you wanted to be in this crazy biz called show?
I mean, growing up, I always was like very artistic, and I used to force my cousins to like put on these plays in front of our family. So I guess it was just innately a part of me, but I didn't, like, I never planned to be an actor. And I went to visual, like I went to art school, but I minored in theater, and I had a teacher that was like, hey, listen, you should try to get an agent. And so I thought I would maybe just do that to do some commercials or something. And then I ended up booking my first job, and it was a recurring role on a TV show. And I was like, oh, this is fun. And that was a long, long time ago. And so I've kept doing it. Like, it's just, in some ways I sort of fell into it. And I love it, like it's a hard industry, but it's also something that I work really hard at, and it can be a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, I think now people are really happy to see that diversity on screen too. It's something that was missing. Speaking of missing, a couple of years ago, the Oscars, it was a big news story that a lot of the female directors were absent from some of those nominations. Now we're really celebrating those female directors. I mean, yourself included in there. Do you have a Mount Rushmore of female directors that maybe you, I don't want to say inspired you, but maybe that you look up to or that you enjoy?
Absolutely. I mean, I feel really lucky because I was able to work with a couple of them recently. So I worked with Deepa Mehta on a film called Funny Boy a few years ago. Yeah, so and then soon after I worked with Ava DuVernay on DMZ. So like and then after that I made my own film. So I feel like it was almost prepping me, being like, here's a taste of what these women do. Pick what you can from both of them and like run with it, so they've been huge mentors and inspirations for me. And then, I visited the film The Farewell by Lulu Wang a lot while I was making Donkeyhead, and I just really love her aesthetic and her thoughtfulness. But I think those 3, Mira Nair as well, like also an incredible, like prolific director. So there's a lot of incredible directors
there really
in the
is.
world. They just need to be celebrated more.
Absolutely. And I know for a fact that a lot of people are going to be celebrating you. We want to recommend Donkeyhead. Like I said, the United States, you can catch it right now on Netflix. Everyone else, check your local listings, but do not miss it. Thank you so much for sharing your time with me today.
Thank you so much. It's so nice to talk.
All right, well, that's going to do it for another episode, everybody. Big thanks going out to Paloma, to Agam, and of course Cassius for bringing so much fun to the program. And hey, I want to thank you for watching and listening. Make sure you drop your comments down there below. Till next time, I've been Mr. Hollywood, Poppin the Culture.